Hello everyone! So this video is part 1 of 2 of making lidded pots from the pinch method. My Ceramics 2 students are just beginning a Raku project that we're doing, and we are using the pinch method primarily because the pinch method is a little bit more sturdy in construction. It's not going to be as likely to break in the Raku firing as, say, slab. We are not doing wheel for this because my Ceramics 2 kids have not yet been introduced to the wheel. So there are some different things that I'm going to be showing, such as the anatomy of lids and pots, whether or not the pot itself has a gallery, if the lid has a flange. We're going to talk a little bit about that terminology in class. And this video is designed to show the students some quick ways that you can form a pinch pot. I also throw in another little method about carving away rather than pinching as well. So hopefully this makes sense, and don't forget there will be a part 2 where I show the lids. I'm just doing this segment first because the kids are going to be making their pots first, allowing them to get leather hard before we make the lids. Students, please refer to the guide that I gave you on the cross sections that show the lid and pot anatomy. You really need to figure out what kind of lid and pot you're intending to make. Are you making one with a gallery where the lid fits into it? Or are you going to make one where the lid itself has a flange? It has to have a means to keep it from just sliding off. Are you going to leave it thicker for feet? Or in the case of this one, that's also a little coil flange in a slab lid. So you want to plan out all of this before you ever start in clay. If you are making a gallery like that, you need to leave the rim thicker. Now, whatever way you start, you're going to usually begin by the pinch method. So a ball of clay and pinch it just like we did the pinch cups earlier, leaving it about pinky thick. Now, in the case of the second one here, I am going to leave the bottom thicker because I'm going to make legs on this one. So I'm going to start off by pinching the wall pinky thick, but the base itself is thicker. It's probably about 1 inch thick. Now I'm going to make some cuts so then I can divide it and pinch out the legs a little bit. So by pinching, leaving it a little bit thicker, that it gives me enough thickness that the base can still be the same thickness as the walls, and then I'm pinching that out. Now, once you get everything rather pinched, then you're going to be ribbing it just like we did with the cups, just to eliminate as much of the bumps and irregularities that you can on the first day. And then once you do that, then you're going to allow it to get leather hard. So I'm doing inside and outside, making sure that I'm holding my hand on both the inside and the outside of the wall when I do it. And again, that one will have a gallery so that rim is thicker. This one will not have a gallery, so that rim is a little bit on the thinner side. Now, I will set them aside and allow them to get leather hard. Once they're leather hard, I'm going to level the edge just like we did on the pinch cups. And for this, I'm kind of slowing this down to show you the method. I'm going to make a gauge. I'm using the needle tool, and I'm holding the needle tool against anything. I'm just using a pencil, something where the needle tool is not going to move around. Now, notice I did make a little paper kind of a turntable, if you will. It allows you to turn it real easily. So if you're working at home, you can do this easily, make your own little turntable. By using a gauge where the needle tool is locked to a tool or a pencil, it makes a level line. Now I am leveling it. If you're working from home, you could certainly use a rib or a knife to level it. I'm just using a Sureform because I'm here at school. Or you could use a little tiny cheese grater that I showed in that other video about working from home. And then I'm also going to be ribbing the outside. Now, if you are doing a foot like this, in the case of this one, I literally just took the Sureform when it was leather hard and I made the legs. So I don't think I even pinched that one out. So that is definitely a possibility if you wanted to just Sureform into something like that. All right, now I'm going to mark the level on the second pot. Again, I'm making a gauge with the needle tool, locking it to a tool like a pencil, and that is resting on the table, making sure that I'm going underneath the lowest point of the rim, and I just rotate the pot around while keeping the gauge stationary. And then I'm using a Sureform, or again, you could use a knife or a rib to bring it down to the level. And it is helpful if you get your eyes down level with it so you can kind of look across. Using a Sureform on the exterior, of course, you could use just a metal scraper or one of those hard plastic ribs that are in your take-home tool bins. Now I'm going to be marking where I want my gallery. So when you mark where you want the gallery, you need to think about the thickness that will be left kind of on the outside of the lid and the part that you're going to be carving away. So as I mark that, now I want to make sure that it's an even thickness. So here we go. You can see, so the outer part is going to remain, and the inner part is what I'm going to cut away. That's going to create like a little shelf. I'm using the Kemper ribbon tools for this. That's a Dolan tool. Also, if you have something like that. Kids, if you're at home, you can use the little tools that I made that are kind of mimicking that. And then I'm just holding this kind of level as I rotate it around, and I'm cutting away a little square, kind of a notch. And so you can see that's what that looks like after it's cut away. Now I'm just deepening it a little bit more, and as I go down, I'm going to find that I have kind of a thin spot where I would like to have a little bit more thickness, kind of on that little ledge. So right there, it's a little thin, so I'm just going to slip and score and add some of the clay just to the underneath side of the ledge there, just to thicken up the wall some, because again, I want it to be supporting the lid all the way around, and I want it to look even. And that's it after I added the little extra thickness of clay. At this point, I'm ready to put this aside and let it get leather hard. Now for the last pot that I'm doing, I'm going to be using a block of clay that I'm just carving away the excess. Now this block is just a little bit stiffer. It's not terribly plastic at this point. I am carving some legs in the outside of it. And the most important thing to remember with using this method is you cannot leave it thick. So on the interior now, I'm going to be carving this away, but I have to be very diligent about making sure that I'm not leaving any areas that are thick. No corners thick, the legs can't be thick. I have to angle my cuts way down in there to make sure that it goes down, and the walls are really only about as thick as my pinky. That's very important to make sure. Now all of the scrap clay that I just carved out of there, that's, kids, what you want to recycle by squirting it down and putting it in your recycle bag. Remember to check out part 2 on how I show different ways that you can make the lids for these pots.